Let's talk about tariffs, a word you might have heard tossed around in the news or during political debates, but what does it really mean for you and your wallet? Tariffs are essentially taxes that governments place on goods imported from other countries. Every time a product crosses a border, there's a chance it's being taxed before it even hits the shelves. Politicians often claim that tariffs make foreign products more expensive, which, in theory, encourages you to buy local goods instead. They say it's about protecting local businesses and jobs. But here's the catch. Tariffs are like a hidden fee that gets quietly added to the price of your everyday purchases. You don't see it on the price tag, but you definitely feel it at the checkout. While tariffs are sold as a way to punish foreign countries or shield local industries, the reality is that the extra cost almost always lands squarely in your shopping cart. It's you, the consumer, who ends up paying more. That's why imported cheese, foreign cars, or even a simple t-shirt from overseas can cost much more than you'd expect. The tariff quietly inflates the price, making your money stretch less. Tariffs have been around for centuries, used by governments as a tool to control trade and raise revenue. But their effects are rarely as straightforward as politicians promise. Sometimes they spark trade wars or make everyday goods unaffordable. The story is always about protecting our jobs or standing up to foreign competition, but the result is usually higher prices for you and your family. It's a cost that quietly chips away at your budget. So the next time you hear about tariffs in the news, remember, it's not just a political issue. It's your wallet that feels the pinch every time you shop for groceries, clothes, or even a new car. Understanding tariffs means understanding why your money doesn't go as far as it should. By knowing how these hidden taxes work, you can make more informed choices and see through the political spin. Have you ever wondered why your favorite orange juice suddenly costs more? It's not just inflation or a bad harvest. Sometimes it's because of a government tariff, a hidden tax that quietly sneaks into your grocery bill. Let's trace the journey of a single Spanish orange and see how a decision made thousands of miles away ends up affecting your wallet. An American company decides to buy oranges from Spain, paying 20 cents for each juicy fruit. This is a simple business deal, but it's just the beginning. When those oranges arrive at the US border, a customs official steps in and adds a 25% tariff. That's an extra 5 cents per orange, instantly making them more expensive. The Spanish farmer has already been paid and is out of the picture. It's the American importer who's now on the hook for the extra cost, forced to pay the tariff before the oranges can even hit the shelves. But the story doesn't end there. That extra 5 cents per orange doesn't just disappear, it gets passed along the entire supply chain, from the importer, to the distributor, to the supermarket. By the time you're at the checkout, the supermarket has raised the price to cover their higher costs. You, the shopper, end up paying more for the same orange juice you've always bought. And it's not just oranges. Think about all the imported products you see on store shelves. Cheese from France, wine from Italy, electronics from Asia, steel goods from around the world. Each one can be hit with its own tariff, each one quietly raising your cost of living. Every time a tariff is imposed, it creates a ripple effect. Prices inch up, not just for one product, but for thousands. The impact spreads throughout the entire economy, touching every household. The government collects the tariff as tax revenue, but the real burden falls on you. It's the consumer who ultimately foots the bill, often without even realizing it. Tariffs aren't invisible. They show up in your grocery bill, your electronics purchases, even in the cost of your car. Every time you see a higher price, there's a chance a tariff is part of the reason. So it's not just about oranges. It's about everything you buy that crosses a border, every imported good that makes your life a little more expensive. The real impact? You pay more at the register, while politicians claim they're protecting jobs or industries. The cost is real, but the credit and blame are often hidden. That's the magic trick of tariffs. You pay the price, but the blame is shifted elsewhere. Next time you see your grocery bill climb, remember, sometimes it's not just the oranges that are getting squeezed. "We're going to make China pay," is a catchy slogan, and it sounds like a bold, no-nonsense way to stand up for American jobs and industry. You'll hear it at rallies, see it on campaign banners, and watch politicians repeat it on TV. It's a phrase designed to fire up crowds and make headlines. But here's the thing, tariffs don't work the way most people think. When politicians say they're making China pay, what they're really doing is making everyday Americans pay more for the things they need. When the US government slaps tariffs on goods imported from China, it's not China that writes a check to the US Treasury. Instead, it's American importers, businesses right here at home, who pay that extra tax at the border. And those businesses don't just absorb the cost, they pass it along to you, the consumer, in the form of higher prices at the store. Suddenly your weekly grocery bill is a little steeper, and your dollar doesn't stretch as far. And it's not just about toys or cheap trinkets. We're talking about electronics, furniture, car parts, clothing, even essential medical equipment. Tariffs touch almost every aisle in the store, from the gadgets you rely on to the couch you sit on. Economists have studied this over and over, and the evidence is clear. Nearly all of the cost of tariffs on Chinese goods is paid by Americans. It's not a hidden fee, it's right there in the higher prices you see every day. So, when you see a 25% tariff on electronics, that means your next laptop, smartphone, or TV just got a lot more expensive. The price hike isn't just a number on a spreadsheet, it's money out of your pocket. The policy is sold as being tough on China, but in reality, it's a tax on American families. It hits your wallet every time you shop, making it harder to keep up with bills and save for the future. And it's not just an inconvenience. Lower-income households feel the pain the most, as everyday goods become less affordable. For many, it means making tough choices, putting items back on the shelf or cutting back on essentials. Some argue that tariffs will bring jobs back to America, but that's mostly wishful thinking. In reality, companies often just move their factories to other low-cost countries like Vietnam or Mexico instead of coming home. The end result? You pay more, the jobs don't return, and the only thing that changes is the label, from Made in China to Made in Vietnam. The products are still imported, just from somewhere else. The promise to make China pay is an expensive illusion. It sounds tough, but it doesn't deliver the results Americans are hoping for. Instead, it leaves families frustrated and budgets stretched thin. The real bill for these policies lands right in American mailboxes in the form of higher prices, bigger bills, and less money left at the end of the month. At the end of the day, tariffs are a domestic tax, not a foreign penalty. The next time you hear a politician promise to make China pay, remember who's really footing the bill. It's not China. It's Chad from Ohio, and millions of Americans just like him. Want proof tariffs hit home? Just look at the US-Canada border. Canada hasn't imposed as many tariffs as the US, creating a real-world experiment. Two families, one in Buffalo, New York, one in Fort Erie, Ontario, buy the same washing machine. The American family pays more, thanks to US tariffs on steel and electronics. The Canadian family gets the same product for less. This price gap drives Americans to cross the border for better deals. It's not just about bargains, it's a direct response to tariff policy. The difference in shopping carts shows who really pays for tariffs: everyday people. Tariffs aren't abstract, they're a line on your receipt. Crossing a border can mean instant savings, and that's no accident. Tariffs don't just raise prices, they disrupt entire businesses. Companies relying on global supply chains face sudden new costs. Some scramble to find new suppliers in untariffed countries, a risky and expensive move. Others try to absorb the cost, cutting profits, jobs, or investment. For small businesses, this can mean layoffs or even closing up shop. The uncertainty makes companies hesitate to invest or expand in the US. Tariffs, meant to protect American industry, often end up hurting it instead. Tariffs don't happen in a vacuum. Other countries retaliate. If the US taxes Chinese steel, China might slap tariffs on American soybeans or bourbon. These counter-tariffs target politically sensitive industries, hurting American farmers and manufacturers. The result? A trade war where everyone loses: higher prices for consumers, lost markets for producers. Farmers promised protection end up with unsold crops and mounting debts. What starts as a targeted policy quickly spirals into a global economic fight. The pain spreads far beyond the original targets. Trade wars disrupt supply chains and cost jobs worldwide. In a global economy, no one punches without getting punched back. Here's the big picture. Economies are deeply connected. Tariffs are a blunt tool that rarely work as intended. They raise prices and disrupt supply chains. Your phone, car, and groceries are all products of global cooperation. Tariffs slow down this system, making life more expensive for everyone. Real trade problems need smart negotiation, not economic food fights. Blaming foreigners for high prices while imposing tariffs is political misdirection. The price gap between Buffalo and Fort Erie is proof tariffs cost you, not them. Understanding tariffs is the first step to demanding better, more honest policies.